Andy Cruz just went against Hironori Mashiro on Richardson Hitchens' undercard. Banger of a fight where you see Andy Cruz. Yes, he comes from that Cuban style of boxing where they're more focused on moving around, hit, not get hit. But in this fight, he came to absolutely destroy Mashiro. And I like this more exciting fight in Cruz, where he kind of abandons his more technical style to prove a point. And the point was proven that Keyshawn Davis is running from him at 135 with his little stunt of coming, 4.3 pounds over in the Edwin De Los Santos fight. I like the statement proven by Andy Cruz, because now it starts to paint the picture that where he's not just a technical fighter, he's a power puncher. And yes, Keyshawn Davis had more of the knockouts, the exciting knockouts, but Andy Cruz can be that fighter too. And we saw that. But the statement, going back to that was proven, is Keyshawn Davis doesn't want any smoke with Andy Cruz. Not only did Andy Cruz beat him 3 or 4 times in the amateurs coming up, and maybe in the Olympics where Keyshawn gets his bronze medalist, 3rd place, I think Andy Cruz is starting to paint the narrative that, yes, he is, Keyshawn, scared of Andy Cruz. But with Keyshawn Davis moving up to 140, that fight looks to be out of the picture. Now we have a more interesting matchup between Andy Cruz and Abdullah Mason. Both of these fighters showed out during their last matchups, knocking out their opponents in the first half of the fight. I think, in my personal opinion, Andy Cruz has the advantage. I see a more, yes, Abdullah Mason, he's a pretty technical, strategic fighter. He picks his risk. He picks it according to reward. And I don't see either of them getting dropped or knocked out. It's going to be more of a technical fight. Maybe they do brawl it out, but one thing I see with Andy Cruz, he tends to get overcrowded a lot. I forgot what fight. It's against a Hispanic fighter where he's coming off with jab, 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 hook, 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 uppercut, uppercut, uppercut. He's just throwing, and it looks like Andy Cruz is being overwhelmed, being pushed back, and now has to fight off the ropes. But he ultimately did, I think it's like Orlando Southern, he ultimately gets the knockout over his opponent because his opponent is being that reckless. That reckless tendency isn't in Abdullah Mason. They're both these high IQ boxing fighters, where not one of them is going to necessarily take a chance for no reason. They all hit their targets each time. And Abdullah Mason, he's not necessarily a volume puncher, but he does let his hands go when the time is right. And that's the same for Andy Cruz, but I feel as if Andy Cruz is a more, should I say, relaxed fighter. he's not going to come off with that aggression right away. And I don't think he's going to match the energy of Abdullah Mason if Abdullah Mason starts letting his hands go. I think actually he's going to take the position of waiting for that perfect counter. I see the fight going 12 rounds with not a unanimous decision. It's going to be a close fight, most definitely. A split decision. But I see it where Andy Cruz moves around Abdullah Mason because he's good at angling his opponents. He circles a lot. And that's just a part of that Cuban school of boxing. Footwork. We saw it with William Skull to his disadvantage, where everybody hates him at the end of the fight. But we see that they're more movement based. And that's not to say Abdullah Mason doesn't have footwork. That's to say Abdullah Mason, he's gonna stay in the pocket and use his hands to defend more than his feet. And maybe that brings the advantage to Andy Cruz. It's a hard fight to call out due to their styles being so similar and their IQ being so high. But I see Andy Cruz. I can see Andy Cruz winning a split decision, but I can also easily see Abdullah Mason using his power shots more often than Andy Cruz to take the win over with damage compared to punches thrown and punches landed. The more accurate fighter in this case is probably going to be Andy Cruz, but the more powerful fighter is most definitely Abdullah Mason. So we'll see how this matchup goes. It's an interesting one. It's going to be an exciting fight. Not a brawl, but a fight for those entrenched boxing fans. So we'll see.